Dawn here. Welcome to BDR Creative Studios. Today I want to show you how I made these coasters. They incorporates doing some inlay work. Don't let that scare you. This is really easy, and this is actually a really good way to introduce yourself to some inlay. It's a coaster, so it's small. You don't have to get overwhelmed, and we're doing just shapes, so you don't even have to get into all the little nooks and crannies that some of these more complex shapes take up. Anyways, let's get started. I'll show you how I did this. I hope you'll go ahead and you'll give this a try, maybe follow along. You can hit pause button as you're watching it and just give it a try. Anyways, let's get started. I made a few notes over here. My coaster is 4x4. So I come over to the rectangle tool and we're going to make a 4x4 square. So, and this is Corel that I'm using. Your program may be different, but most things will be the same. I'm going to center that. I center everything. It just makes it easier for me. That way too, if you're nudging something out of the way, it just is easier for me. So I want to do rounded corners. And I believe I did 0.3. On Corel, right up here, you'll see this is where you do your corners. I have this on lock. And what that will do is all four corners will change to the same dimension. If you don't want that, if you only want two corners, one, you want another corner, something else, you unlock it and you do each one of these individually. For this one, 3. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. All right. And this is just a guide for me at this point, because if you take a look, you'll see that it's two separate pieces, the top and the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to make those. So again, the rectangle tool, and we know it's 4 wide. And of course, I didn't measure what the other one was. 1.5. Let's do 1.5. And then we're going to round the corners the same, so 0.3. And if you wanted the inside to have a different curvature, that's where you would change it now. So center that. I'm going to make a copy and paste. So now I have 2 of those, and I'm going to move it up to the top and one to the bottom. Hit the shift key, hold that down. It will, whoops, you gotta hit that first, then hit the shift. It'll keep it from going left and right. You can just go up and down or vice versa, whatever you're doing. So, all right, so that's that. Um, Again, I'm keeping this in place just as a guide so you guys can see what I'm doing. So next we want to make this shape here. And again, any shape you want. Let's go ahead and do that. Rectangle tool. The length doesn't matter at this point. Over here, my notes tell me it's 0.21 on the width. And that's just my design. So you would do what you wanted to do, 0.21. And we're going to round that. 0.1. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so next I believe there's 12 of these. That doesn't matter, but let's make 12 copies. You can do step and repeat. You can do this different ways of doing this. I seem to go the long way. I don't know why, but I do. So I'm going to make a copy of this, copy and paste, and then I'm going to nudge it over. And my nudge is at 0.16, so that must be what I had done before. Looks good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And instead of making it all 12 individually, I did 4 and copied the 4, paste them, move those over, do that one more time. And I know there's a simple way, guys, but so there's my 12. I'm going to group them just so that I can move them over together. Go ahead and group them, put those in the center. And yeah, that actually looks pretty good. All right, so the next thing, I know they're too long. I'm going to just go ahead and shorten those. Just visually it helps me. I'm also going to turn them red so that you guys can see the difference. And I would do this for myself anyways. It makes it easier. And on my machine, um, the cut is done in the red line or hair line. It doesn't really matter. So there we go. Okay, so on my design, I did a little bit of a curve. So what I had done was I came over here and I did the spline, I believe. And this won't be the same as the other one, but I'm going to go ahead and, whoops, let's just make a little bit of a curve. All right, it's different than what I have, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to make a copy of that. And we're going to paste it. And we're going to move it down to the bottom. And then we're going to, well, we switched it. I don't know if that's important, but again, it's design. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. I want this. And this design, guys, go ahead and play around till you get what you want. For the video, this is good. So next, I click on that and I'm going to ungroup them now. I want to be able to move each one individually. So what I'm going to do is whoops, I'm going to move each one down to my curved line. So this is going to take a moment. If I can figure out how to edit this so you don't have to watch me doing each and every one, I guess I should have gone ahead and, well, actually, we'll just go ahead. It'll just take a minute, guys. I'm sorry. You can fast forward through this part. Like I said, if I can speed it up when I go to edit this, I will. Oops. But I'm learning how to do all of that too. It takes us a long time to learn how to do these things. I never knew what went into a video before until I tried doing this. Right. One of the other things that I do is I'm going to back these with cork. So I have found to just buy it pre-cut rather than cutting my own, because when you cut it on the laser, the cork, it cuts nice, but it will leave that burnt edge and it stinks really bad. So I go ahead and I buy them, and that is why this is a 4x4, because that just happens to be the size cork that I have. But that's up to you. And not everybody will put the cork behind it. The reason I like to is this is open, and I just feel that two reasons. One, if you put a glass on it, whoops, what am I doing? If you put a glass on it and it's sweating, it's gonna go ahead and that move, guys. But again, for the video, it's okay. You don't want to do that if you're doing this for real. The if you put a wet glass on it, sweats, it's gonna go back and hit your table, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose. Whoops, we missed one. Okay, so that's pretty good. I mean, it doesn't have as much of a curve as the other one, but that's okay. So we're gonna get rid of these lines. We don't need these anymore. And we also don't need that outside. So there it is. Now there's a couple different things you can do. I always make a copy of everything. I do that automatically. Not that I make mistakes, and I move it out of the side. There's my file. No matter what else I do with the rest of this, I still have that file that I can go back to. So I'm going to make another copy, and that's just to show you a couple different ways of doing this. So you can turn this whole thing into a hairline or whatever your computer and your laser does. I also, well, before we do that, I need to get rid of these black lines within these shapes because I don't want that to cut. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of these in the middle. And again, it's tedious, but once you have it done, once this is done, once you've taken the time to do it, you have it. And, a lot of people really don't have the time to do the design. So actually this file will be for sale on in my web store if you don't want to do this. Um, there you go. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to group this whole thing Did I already do that? Nope. Group it all. I'm going to turn the whole thing to red because again, that's just my cut line. But if it's hairline, if the whole thing is also a hairline right up here, it's going to cut on my machine, regardless of the color. The color comes into play when you're doing some advanced work. So this will now cut out just like that. The thing is, well, let's do this. Let's get rid of this one. We don't want this. Let's delete that. Let's make a copy of this one. And let me show you. So that can cut in your machine. You're going to go ahead and you're going to cut two of them. And then you're going to move these back and forth until you have it where you want. You just want them in the same order because obviously they're different lengths. One of the things you can do before you take it out of the laser is put some painter tape on it and that'll keep it in the order. That's kind of beneficial. Unless you really like doing puzzles, then okay. The other thing you can do is you can go ahead and cut this, and there is your your top and your bottom. You would come over here, ungroup this. Yeah, this is object, group, ungroup. I'm gonna grab these. I have this over here, so I'm not too worried about it. Normally I'd make another copy. And there are your pieces that would now go in there. For the coaster, it's a 4x4. I can't imagine you needing to use different scrap wood. That kind of, to me, is a scrap wood, but you don't know. If you did this larger and you were doing it as a trivet or something, then you may want to. But that's pretty much it. The design itself doesn't even matter. Um, you can do all kinds of shapes. I'm gonna go to my undo manager. Just wanna, whoops, wanna undo, put it back. There we go. Um, undo, there we go. That's it. That's how you're gonna go ahead and do that. One of the other things that I do, I've learned inlay can be a really tricky. And I struggled a lot because you've got to know a lot about your kerf and everything, and you should know this. But one of the things I found to do is turning one of these upside down. If your wood is really pretty on both sides, it doesn't matter. But I find that when you switch these pieces, if you turn it over, so now what was the back side becomes the front side, I get a much better tightness here, much better look. The other thing that I did, and it's on the well, let me show you. What I did was I made a 4x4. I'm making a jig here, guys. So let's see. Made a 4x4. Let's and then get these out of the way, and this will make more sense. So do a 4x4. That's my inside. I'm going to make a copy of that and paste, and then let's just make it 6x6. It doesn't matter, whatever piece of wood you have. There you go. But the inside square, I want to go ahead and round these corners, just like the coaster, point 3. And then that becomes my jig. And what you're going to do is, um, after this has been cut, you can drop your pieces in here and it will hold it nice and tight for you. So this is up against that, that's up against that. It keeps it all together while you're gluing it. You're just going to put your glue on the edges in here. Set that aside to dry. You can tape it down and move it out if you're doing production work, and you're getting a lot of them. Anyways, I hope this helped. So go ahead and give it a try if you want. If you don't want to, it's for sale. My store is Dawn Melka at indiemade.com. And you can also visit me at BDR Creative Studios on Facebook. That tends to be more up to date with a lot of the newer pieces that I'm doing. It takes me a lot to get it onto the website. But I will have this on, so by the time you see this, these will be on. The file will be on. I have more to come. If when you're on Facebook or even on the website and you see a laser file that you like and you want to learn how to do it, give me a yell. If I can do a video on it, I will. I love teaching. I love creating. I don't love production work as much. So if I can keep making videos and show people how to do this, for me, that's very, very enjoyable. All right. Thank you for stopping by. I know your time is valuable and hope you have a very creative day. Thank you.